right. We are live.
Hey, folks.
Hello, people. Hello, folks who are not here. Hello, future folks. People who have not yet arrived. Yeah.
The time
The
travelers.
time the time travelers. Right, exactly. All video and photographs are pictures into the past, windows into the beyond. Hey,
So what are we
Charles.
here to talk
What are
about?
we here to talk about? Welcome to the Tech Audio Chat. My name is Dan Reynolds. I am currently a senior technical audio designer at Epic Games. This is a. I'm joined by Eric Buchholz, which I will remember.
The pause is
I've been
getting a little
practicing.
bit shorter each
I've been
time.
practicing. You know, I've got in my head is buckle, and that's what's helping me. Is that silly?
Okay.
I think that works, right?
Yeah, whatever works for you.
Uh, let's see if it picks up. Uh, Yep. Now we're back.
I see your Photoshop.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, folks. I didn't realize it. Like OBS just rage quit on me, so I didn't even
Take
see.
two.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I have no idea when. So
I think it was like right away
it
based
was
on
like
the
right. Yeah. Okay.
like 10 seconds in or something.
Oh, super.
So let's just start over.
Yeah. We'll start up. Well, this is a clean slate. You know, we're good. This we'll edit it in post.
We can speed run the intro.
Hi everyone. Welcome to Tech Audio Chat. My name is Dan Reynolds. I'm currently a always important to put currently because the game industry is crazy. Currently senior technical audio designer at Epic Games, and I'm joined by Eric Buchholz, who is a technical audio designer at Epic Games also.
That's right. Currently.
Currently. Yes, currently. Not, not necessarily forever. Titles may change. That's not necessarily a negative thing. Could be a promotion around the corner. Who knows? Today we are sort of going to have a shorter stream. That's because two reasons. One, we went long. I think it was a little bit stressful for me because afterwards I was kind of wiped out, which is why I prefer the 2 hour thing. But we were like really close, so y'all know how it is. And also, Eric has to. He's got release.
Have to get up early.
Yeah, release babysitting, and that's what happens when you work on Fortnite.
We sometimes release new content.
We occasionally release new content. And there's a rotation of duty for supporting the release.
And if you're on the West Coast, that's pretty early.
Yeah, exactly. It's early relative based on the rotation of the Earth on its
Time
axis.
zones.
Yeah, time zones. Who knew? So and regarding last week, we sort of had an issue that we ended up not solving right away. I think we've both been busy. We haven't had really a chance to dig into it. I suspect that it's something minor. It's either something minor we've overlooked, or that the Metasound Audition doesn't support editor.
Utility widgets.
No. Editor. The editor world.
Editor worlds.
Editor
Okay.
world previewing. In 5.5, it may be that it may be only in native. Maybe, I don't know. So it could. So that's where I am suspecting the situation is. And even though I had all week, I did not reach out to anyone to ask.
See, I after the last stream, I went straight back over to 5.6 just to like see if
Yeah.
I was crazy, and um, I was able to get it to work using the set UI sound node. Um,
Yeah.
but then when I came back to 5.5, either again it's something minor that I'm overlooking, or it's just things just were different
Yeah.
in that release. So um,
I
yeah, well,
remember there. So I remember a long time ago, I was looking into sound preview, sound playback preview, and I remember there was a function that stripped out. There was like a check for editor world, and if it was editor world, it would strip out. It would mark it as a UI sound. But that was a long time ago, so I don't know if that function has changed or if it was a specific function related to previewing in the content browser because that's kind of where I was looking.
mm,
But I have this is the sort of interesting thing about the world problem in I call it the problem. Unreal Engine has this concept called a world, and it's loosely reflective of levels. So a level usually is a world, but when you're in runtime, game runtime, there's usually a persistent world. But there's also like an editor world. So when you've got the editor open, there are many worlds, and they're not always the world you're looking for. so so it becomes a little interesting detail. That actually is a challenge when you're coding a like something like a game audio subsystem. Game instance subsystem. A game instance subsystem, which in Unreal is sort of like an object that exists before worlds are spun up. And so you end up having to monitor the worlds as they get spun up and trying to figure out which ones are the ones you're looking for. Because the worlds in Unreal, the worlds are handles to the audio device, which is not the hardware, but it's a thing called an audio device in Unreal that represents the audio engine framework. So yeah, so that becomes a little bit of a challenge when you because technically when you're in the editor, especially if you're working on a multiplayer game, you could have several audio devices, and you want to make sure you're referencing the correct one. But that's usually not a detail that you have to think a lot about when you're just using the regular gameplay API. But when you start branching out into like editor features and previewing and all this sort of stuff, that's something you have to think more about. So we're gonna kick that can down the road until 5.6 comes out. There's a lot of cool stuff in 5.6. I think that I think every release there's something cool happening. Like 5.5 we have pages,
mhm.
which I haven't even done a video about yet. Which it's kind of I think you probably need to do that. But yeah, so it gets and from if you work inside of Epic, it's a little bit confusing because I think I've mentioned this before, but the Unreal like versions from the outside seem like big giant leaps. Like they're just like boop, and then everything changes, or the stuff changes and boop, and then stuff changes. But
Mhm.
internally, it's just like a constant flow of changes. So you don't really like it. Like I have no idea what where that split is. Like what the engine was like, immediately after 5.5, and so
That's why it's hard to go look at issues like this where it's things are different in 5.5 than what
yeah,
we even expect.
yeah.
It's
But
because we
what?
don't,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But one of the things that I've been sort of resisting, maybe stupidly, is using the GitHub, like, because so for folks at home, if you don't realize, you can actually get the like version that we work on at work right now on GitHub, but you have to have everything set up for compiling the editor, and it kind of sucks when the first time you compile the editor kind of sucks because I don't know how like for me it's like it's a while. It's a while. I haven't actually done it in a while because it's a while. Because I don't like it. But also I think a lot of folks that come to my YouTube channel are not. I think there's only a small section of folks that like are prepared to do programming. So yeah, I've kind of resist. And also the other thing is like it's the current work in progress version of Unreal. It's not like necessarily the most stable version of Unreal. So I tend to just sort of rely on the last version. But it gets frustrating when when you're like, oh, I know I can do this thing, and then it's like, oh, this thing hasn't come out yet.
There's just so much cool stuff coming out
Yeah.
in 5.6, so I think that's mainly why I'm looking forward to it. Like,
Yeah.
just I don't want to say too much. We can probably talk about like node config and stuff, right? Like,
I think Aaron's been blabbing about that stuff. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean it's but even that is kind of early stages right now, you
yeah,
know. It's but yeah, like there are going to be some long awaited improvements to metasound nodes and stuff like that. Okay, cool. But yeah, thanks for keeping track of the session for us. That's super helpful. And yeah, so okay, yeah. So what are we doing today? Well, so when I first was thinking about coming back to streaming, I sort of announced, I was like, hey, what do y'all want to see? And there is a kind of like Iron Chef aspect to this process, which I'm totally fine with. You know, give us your challenging things. There are currently eight viewers in the chats. So if you have strong feelings about what we work on next, now's the time to voice them. And if you are someone from the future who is looking into the past at this stream, tough cookies, you should have been here. Where were you, huh? You can still comment or something, I think.
yeah.
But I do have, let me go through the list here of stuff that I kind of like went through. I think it was Blue Sky and LinkedIn and Airwiggles. So we've had folks ask about granular synthesis. That's a topic that so Aaron has expressed interest in doing this thing, and so I have a feeling that might be something we look at maybe in June or something like that. Because for those of you who aren't aware, Aaron McLaren, who's the director of Unreal Engine Audio, I think is the title. Basically in charge of all of Unreal Audio programming teams. Teams, yeah, engine teams. He actually has his like master's work, or one of his master's work. He has two masters to show off. One of his master's work is like literally studying under Curtis Rhodes, on granular synthesis. Like that was his. So he's steeped in it, and so I would not want to do that without him. I think that would just be a lot of fun, and he would talk a lot about it. So I did buy some of Curtis Rhodes' books on recommendation. I haven't read them yet, Custom nodes, just in general. I think people are interested in sort of custom node design. Metasound nodes, if that's not clear. A dynamic reverb system, so something that maybe is like using in particular they were interested in sort of sampling the environment and then uh, parameterizing the algorithmic reverb, right? So
Gotcha.
yeah. Modular weapon design in Metasounds. That could be interesting. That one I feel would be another builder one, which would be good for
Yeah.
if we have builder preview. But yeah, like that's sort of if you really want to go modular with Metasounds, then builder is kind of the way to go. But that'd be a really useful one. That could be data driven. Someone asked about like you're a sound cue. You're familiar with sound cues, and now you're trying to understand metasounds. I feel like that would be more of maybe something a little bit more like I don't know, tutorial, a format or something like that. Um, unless it was like the job was to convert a sound cue to a metasound. That sounds like something that could happen. Although it would be more interesting to try to figure out some sort of algorithmic way of doing that. That would be impossible without programming, though. Someone asked about talking about this production strategy, in particular feature development and staging, sort of staging features and all that sort of stuff as you progress through. I imagine like a large scale system, which is an interesting thing. But I feel like that could be something that we talk about when we're just building
Yeah.
something, right? Someone asked about making a portaling system. And that could be interesting. I have always wanted to, it's like one of those like coding, those like canonical coding tasks is to like do like an A-star system. And I have looked up, I've learned about A-star. I've forgotten the exact algorithm, but I know that it's like very simple. I don't know if you're familiar with A-star at all.
No, I'm not.
So hold on. Actually, this is a good one. Make sure we're still. Um, A-star is a pathfinding algorithm. It's pretty good. And what's really great about it is actually quite simple. And it's also something that can be dynamic. In other words, it supports the idea of the path topology changing mid,
Yeah, like building gets destroyed, you need a new
Yeah,
path.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's super popular. Like I'm sure if you've played an RTS,
sure.
you've seen it in action. And the rough idea is basically you have a like an object position and a destination, and then you basically take every path or path option around the object, and then you calculate the distance from the destination from each of those points, and then you add a weighting for each of those points. So this could be something that's like, this is rough terrain, this is a road, and so like the pathing is easier on the road. Or it could be something like a barrier, like this is impossible.
Yeah.
so so yeah, so that's So and that's something you can do, kind of like you can just redo over and over again. So it's adaptable to changes. The interesting thing is if we try to do something like that, we would need to do something along the lines of we have a three-dimensional and well, there's different ways you could do it. So if you were okay with, sorry, I'm going into the brainstorming thing. It's an interesting problem. Let's just say it would be an interesting one. I think it would probably take a few streams. It's kind of a big
Sure.
feature.
Hmm.
It's something that I would be like, this. I will spend weeks on this. Like if I was working full time on it. So, um, but it could be really cool to build. And there could be some shortcuts because we technically already have an AI system in Unreal, so we could potentially
Yeah.
figure out some way to piggyback off that.
Yeah.
Uh, someone was asking about MIDI peripheral integration for live performances. Kind of interesting. That would be like a quick one. That might even be a little bit too easy for this kind of like collaboration.
Hmm.
Because I could probably do it like do something in an hour, just in like a quick video. Um, yeah, someone's asked about a mix system. And what I would sort of incorporate in mix system is like, okay, let's include not just volume management, but holistically effects management, state management, user settings. That's sort of go wide on it. I have already kind of built something like that for Lyra, but there were constraints. And I've been getting into state tree recently, so that could be a fun one for any sort of state system. Someone asked about gameability system in audio. And someone asked about mic input into meta sounds for real time processing. That one would also be like I think like a 10-minute video. So that one would probably this might be a little bit too easy for this context. Let's see if anyone had ideas in the stream. Just +1 to the reverb system and +1 to modular weapon system. And Charles is interested in state tree. Something with state tree. What was I recently thinking about? Oh, yeah, I have been thinking deeply about mixing recently. But I'm still forming my thoughts on like a different approach to mixing.
You want to hang on to that one for a bit?
I'm gonna hang on to that one. Yeah, yeah. It was happened as I was watching a Walter Murch interview, and I was like, damn, we're doing mixing all wrong. So, so yeah. Well, and the problem with mixing. So I would say mixing is probably one of the most like challenging stages in the game audio production pipeline.
No,
Like
for sure.
it's because a good mixing is driven by human decision,
Hmm.
and a lot of times I will bring up a scene from Braveheart as like the counter example to like most mixing paradigms. And I don't know if y'all have seen Braveheart. You should see Braveheart, not because of its historical accuracy, because it has none, but because it won the Academy Award for Best Sound Editing and Mixing that year. And for good reason. It sounds amazing. 1995, I think, if I remember correctly. And there's this great scene when the main character, this is very early in the film, the main character is sort of surrendering himself to uh, to the English, and this he's riding in on a horse, seemingly unarmed, and this guard sort of grabs the reins of his horse, and there's some great camera movement, and then the sound is like hyper focused on very specific details. And that just in general is like the kind of power you want in a mix, which is to say a mix needs to support the priorities of the artistic expression. What is important to the listener and to what for you to communicate to the listener at any given time. And with the Walter Murch thing, it's like what are the top two things? And I think the problem is that something like HDR is a great sort of automatic system, but it's trying to do a psychoacoustic simulation, which is not the same thing as thinking about the like significance or artistic significance
Hmm.
of a sound. So yeah, that's something that I'm still exploring. So yeah, but that is yeah. So I'm still writing down thoughts on that one. But I think a state tree driven, like, so we could think about something stateful. If we wanted to do something with state tree. And I'm trying to remember. I think there's a way to do. We could. I think there's a way to implement. There could be a roadblock. But I think there's a schema that is available. State Tree has schemas, a state tree schema that is called. I think it's just called the gameplay schema, and that one we might be able to implement without code off of. But yeah. What do you think? Thoughts?
Is that to me or to the chat?
To you, to Eric.
Oh, you want me to decide?
Well, I don't want. I'm not saying decide. I'm just sort of saying like, do you have opinion about?
I'm open to whatever. It's yeah, I'm here for the ride.
So one of the things that we did talk about before the stream was because it's good to have a fallback idea, and I think we explored some ideas about maybe doing like a footstep system, which would be, because there is not really a footstep system. I mean, yeah, or a Foley system, or what do you want to call it. Like out of the box, there's animation notifies that play sounds, but there isn't like a like proper event, like a Foley event system. I did build something like that for Lyra, but could be interesting to do something that's not. I think we could do like a non-code version. Except for preview and animation editor would be, you'd have to do it in code. Yeah, or a music system would also be stateful. You have no.
Are you looking at me?
leanings? Yeah, you have.
No, I like for it sounds like a lot of these are like state tree leaning, and so it might be good to just jump into there and use that as a starting point. I know some of the other ones you mentioned, like the mixing and are things that you want to simmer on for a bit before
Well,
launching into a whole thing. But
we could do like a data driven mix system that is state tree or something like that. And
sure.
it wouldn't have to, we don't have to do like we could just implement a volume control system as an example that is state driven, and then we could look at state tree as like, because like one of the challenges that you have is data aggregation. So when you have a state system, right, you need to aggregate data into, like, you have to funnel the gameplay data into one spot.
Yeah.
And so you need to build some kind of like receiving area for gameplay data. And in state tree, if I remember correctly, that's just they call it just evaluator object. You just select evaluator object, and the public parameters are exposed to state tree. And the state tree can bind them to evaluations, and then the evaluations can control the sort of state management. State tree is really cool, y'all. There could be change. It could be that I'm thinking because the last time I looked at it was for 5.6, so it could have been some changes. It's definitely when I looked before, it was a long time ago, and so I probably haven't looked at it since 2023. It was like time before. So, and back then it was very focused around like AI pawn, like pawn management and stuff like that. If I'm remembering correctly, like the first version of State Tree was used in the Matrix Awakens for the metahuman movement.
Okay. I've dabbled a little bit in State Tree. I haven't built something proper with it, but it seemed pretty AI oriented, and so I felt a little bit like trying to abstract it out to like how would I use it for audio and stuff. And so I think if we started there and just kind of like do an overview introduction of State Tree tonight, maybe, and then that'll set us up for next week or whenever we want to do like a mixing system or footsteps or whatever.
Like a primer?
Not footsteps. But,
that's interesting. Yeah, let's let me load up I mean if we do let's say we just do a mixing system. Like let's stick the flag in the ground, and let me load up the live stream. I'm gonna have to. Sorry, I'm in the wrong spot here. There we go. Live stream. I just called the Unreal Project livestream 01. Okay, that's loading up.
So I'm looking at the available schemas, and I only see like the base one, and then there's a camera director state tree.
Yeah, schema. It's in a different plugin, so you have to open up. There's a plugin. I think it's just called the gameplay schema or state tree gameplay or something like that. Sorry, let's see. Let me hold on. Let me hide myself here so I can. I think it's
looks like a gameplay state tree.
Yeah, that's the one.
All right, I'm going to restart.
Yeah, your share screen is like still very fuzzy. We need to get like a data pipeline straight from your house.
Okay. So now if I try and create a state tree, got a component and then a AI component. Those are the two new ones. Should there be more? Are there more plugins that I should look at?
That should be good. Yeah. So the AI one, can you zoom in a little bit? I can't really see what they say. What's the top one? You can just read them out, I guess.
Yeah, here. Try that. Is that better?
Not really, but it's fine.
Okay. This is state
Yeah,
tree
that's
schema.
the base schema. And what's the yeah, that middle one? What does that say?
This is the component schema,
And the one below it is called.
the AI component schema.
So yeah, just pick the regular component schema. I think we'll just see what that's about.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um,
And let me see if the editor is loaded for me as well here. Okay, yeah, I have it as well. But let me enable the plugins. State tree. Okay. Yeah. So can you uh make an actor and then add this component to your actor? I think we'll do that. Yeah. And then add a public variable like a float variable. Or yeah, bool, it's fine, whatever. Okay.
yeah,
Oh, no,
a
make
bool
it
name float.
public. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think it has to be public. Okay. And then for your sorry, okay. Hold on. Okay, I've got it reloaded so
Okay.
we can have a high res version here. And I'm caveating this because it's been a while since I looked at this, so but yeah, you basically you would hold on. I think that we need to have an evaluator. Let me share my screen again here. Oh wait, oops. Oh, that was it. Did you see a blueprint evaluator?
Yeah, so if you create a new blueprint class, then search for eval or state tree, I think just brings up all the
Let me
state
uh
tree.
let me switch to my screen because I think people just I don't think
Yeah, yeah,
anyone can.
you can drive. I'm gonna follow along on my side too.
Okay. Which is it? Oh, it's this one? No, it's this one. Well, that one could be interesting. We have half your screen, half my screen. No, okay. Well, okay. All right. So, evaluate. Oops. Typing. Eval. State tree evaluator. Blueprint base. Yeah, this is the one. My evaluator. Okay, and then I'm gonna add my like just test float. So we got something to test against. I'm gonna just check these. Yeah, get description, tree start, tree stop. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about here. See, tree start, tree stop. This is good. Okay. So then let's add a state tree based on the yeah, component schema. Actually, yeah, okay, that's yeah, okay, this is all right. All right, yeah. My test state tree. All right. And then evaluators. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here's my context vector class. Yeah, here we go. Evaluators. My evaluator. There we go. Okay, so so this is one of the big things that changed actually is the sort of this like global left side global thing that's new from when I was first prototyping with state tree back in the day. But yeah, so here, basically you have states. So let's say root state, we'll have we'll have one called below, and then we'll have one called above, and the below one we will have basically you have states, and each state has tasks, and tasks are your are the thing that you do when you're at that state. So, for example, I think we can just create a custom task. Let me just check here. I think we can do that. State tree. Yeah, task blueprint base. So we'll make a task. We'll say task A, and then we'll dupe it. Command D, task. Oops, B. So now we have two tasks. Thing one, thing two, and we can open up the editor here. Okay, and then we've got overrideable. Yeah, so we enter state and exit state. So let's do this. So as a simple example, we'll have we'll do audio. What am I thinking here? Modulation. Oh, I forgot to enable the modulation in this. Super. Okay. Go to plugins, audio. And then activate. Where is it? Audio modulation. Audio modulation. This should. Yes. Also, we need like a cool icon. This stupid utility plug. We can do better. Y'all following at home? We got 9 concurrent viewers. How are you doing? Oh, you're checking out the conditions. Yeah.
Yep, just playing around.
Yeah, getting the sense of it, right? Like it's so basically. Here's the idea. Here's like the gist of it. You have state tree. You've got states. You've got tasks. Tasks are the things that you do when you've entered a state, and the states transition based on conditions that you set around evaluators. So where is hold on, is it loading? Am I loading Unreal? It's loaded. There we go. Okay. All right, so I'm going to just create a quick control bus mix. So this will be, I'll just call it CBM mix A. I'm going to have a CBM mix B. We have an AB thing going on here. We're going to create a single control bus because that's all we're just, it's like a little test thing. So we'll make a single control bus. CB, call it main. And yeah, and then what we can do is with our state tree, we've got our evaluator, and we have our states. So what I want is to set up tasks. So for below, we're going to do task B. And for above, we're going to add task A, right? And that's all good. And then what we're going to do is on our transition, So the tasks can communicate completion of the state. I believe, if we look at, if I'm remembering correctly, if we look at, say, one of our tasks graphs, there should be a function stage completed. So, oh, this is actually on stage complete. Hold on a second. We want, let's see, we got enter state, exit state, all one current settings, exit, part not different. No description. No, let's do. Is there an infinite? Oh, run forever. Okay, here we go. That's what. Well, yeah, I think. No, I don't want to bind that yet. Okay, we'll skip that for now and we'll see what happens. So let me just sort of delete this delay, this task delay. Okay, where was I? Right. So what we can do is we could start having logic here. So in other words, we could have the transition for below to go to, sorry, no, just say no to that, to above, and the condition is a float comparison greater than or equal to 0.5. Let's say 0.5. And this is the left input is going to be my evaluator test float. So basically what I'm doing is I'm setting up the evaluator value here. Sorry, actually it should be less than. We'll just do less than. So if the test float value is less than half, then we're below. Oh, this is a transition. I should. Oh, so no, go back to what it was. So, sorry. So, if our test float is greater than or equal to half, then we need to be above. So we need to transition out of task B and go to task A, and then transition from task A to task B is
just the opposite, right?
Is the opposite, exactly. Except you won't do an inclusive equal. Otherwise, you'll get thrashing. So, is that right? We'll go to below, and we do a float compare, and then we go less than half. Yeah, and I forgot to bind this. Right, so we go my evaluator, test float there. Boom, good. And just double check this. The timing should be, yeah, we're gonna just do, for now we'll just do on tick. So this is something that we'll be evaluating on tick. That's not something you'd normally do, but it's usually okay if you're experimenting and testing things out. And similarly on the below one, we want to switch to on tick. So in other words, what this means is this transition is going to be evaluated on tick, and we're going to be looking for we're going to be evaluating our float, and we can see the sort of written up version here. If my evaluator test float is greater than or equal to 0.5, then we succeed in this transition. Okay. And so then in task A, I have task A up here. And let me load up task B as well. So we just have them side by side here. So in task A, we're going to override enter state and we're going to override exit state. So we have both of these. And what we'll do is we will activate activate mix, control bus mix. And this is task A, so we're going to activate control bus mix A. And then we're going, on exit, we're going to deactivate. Deactivate. Activate. Mix. And then we're going to deactivate mix A. So in other words, we're just activating and deactivating the mix based on this task. Let's go back to blueprints for task B, and we'll do the same thing. We're going to override enter state. We're going to override exit state. We're going to activate control bus mix B. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you need to call finish task once you're done activating?
I do not believe so, because we're evaluating on tick, so we're not
Okay.
waiting for the task to complete. But that's a good question. If there was a delay, and that's something, if we decide to explore maybe making a music system, right, that uses this,
Yeah.
then our tasks would be playing the music, and so the task would only be complete when we reached a certain point in the music. So in other words, there is a sort of inherent delay there. Where was I? Deactivate control bus mix B. Cool. All right, and then we will need, because this is component-based schema, we'll need an actor to host the component. So I'm just going to create my actor. We'll just call it my mix manager. And then we'll add the state tree component. And then we'll add our schema, or our state tree, sorry. And I think we'll need to instantiate. I think we'll need to instantiate a evaluator. Let me just let's try this state tree.
And do we need anything in our evaluator besides the variable?
This should be fine. This should be fine. But what we can do is what we'll do is, so eventually what we'll do is we'll put some logic in the evaluator, or feed logic into the evaluator,
Sure.
To manipulate that parameter, right? Yeah, and Eric is actually doing this is a good idea, is because it's early on, we could just have a print function to say what we're doing. Activating mix A. Deactivating mix A, and we could do something like green on activation. Oops. And maybe red on deactivation. Classic colors. And I'm just going to copy this over to task B and make sure I change the name. Oh, Charles, what are you saying? If we put it to event, could we run a quartz? Yes, we have. So yes, you can, Charles. In fact, I've already experienced. So this is when I said I was messing around with state tree back in 2023-ish. I was actually doing that exact thing. I was experimenting with a music system that was quartz driven, and I was using the quartz clock as the evaluation event, and I was using the quartz. So in other words, the quartz tick was prompting the evaluation, and the time, the quartz time, clock time, was the thing that I was evaluating, and so I had like time, based, and then I could do that would just prompt the evaluation. Then the evaluation would be, I think they call it a trigger. So the evaluation was triggered, and then yeah, they call it a trigger here. So it was triggered on the and then the on event or whatever, and then the and then some value could be measured, and then we could do something based on that. Okay, so where was I? Right, so we got the blah blah blah, and then let me I think I'm just gonna add. Let me try to see if I can just get this as a parameter here. As a pointer, my evaluator. My evaluator object reference. Am I in? Oh, I'm in developer folder. Ba ba ba. Well, let me see. Can I just? Ooh, it doesn't like that. What do I do? Its parent class. Nope. That's very interesting. Okay. All right. Uh. I'm pretty sure we need to instantiate the evaluator. Let me see if this is.
Dan, one other thing I noticed in the state tree is that you can have parameters on the state tree itself, and that exposes it in the state tree component on the actor. And so I'm wondering if we need the evaluator at this point just to get like a hello world going.
Yeah, I think we could probably. Yeah. But now I want to know.
Like here's where it shows up when I do it this way with the parameter.
Sorry, let me switch over so people can see the fuzzy screen and the mouse location.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think there was a note. This is actually reminding me of something because I think there was. I think I remember seeing a note that evaluators are probably going to be deprecated. Um, but yeah, we'll do that. So we'll get rid of this guy. Let me switch back so people can see. So yeah, so for now we'll delete the evaluator and then we'll add a parameter directly to the state tree, and we'll call it my test float. And then we need to go back to our logic and fix
the
up
rebinding.
our yeah, exactly. And you can see it here. Miss the little red mark here, missing binding. So let's grab our local binding under parameters, global parameters. Yeah, but I don't know what the yeah. I'll have to. I remember seeing something about one of those being deprecated, but I don't remember what it was. So
Sure.
but yeah, okay. So we've got a test parameter, and then we can go in our mix manager and then address that parameter in our I think I can just do this. Yeah. Let's see. Test float. Does it? No. Does it not see it? It doesn't auto reflect it.
Mine did when I.
Maybe I need to let me try re-adding the
Interesting.
Let me clear it, and then I'll just re-add it here. Compile. Oh, maybe there's is it
Interesting.
is it exposed on yours?
Yeah, mine shows up like kind of indented underneath of
Oh,
the state tree.
maybe it's just Oh, which? Oh, maybe you have different. What's your component type?
I've got just state tree component.
Yeah, me too. What's the?
Check out your state tree again. Let's just look at the.
I just did parameter.
Okay, and then you bound it, and yeah, I didn't do anything else
Yeah.
special beyond that, so that's weird.
Um.
So you might have to just stick to your evaluator.
Well, let me try deleting my component and re-adding it here. Let's say state tree component, and then I'll add that, and I. That's wild. Yeah, I totally see it on yours. Do you have any? That's pretty interesting. I'm sort of curious. Charles, you were following along, right? Oh, yeah, okay. What's your schema?
So
Oh,
I've got just state tree component,
and the context actor class is just actor,
just actor, yeah.
and
No evaluators, no,
no task global tasks.
nope, no tasks.
Just the task A and task B, as I do.
Uh, yeah, I've got the same bindings and whatnot as you do. Huh.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to. Oh, wait, hold on a second. What is this? Oh, that's the socket. That's so weird. Um, when you do we have the same plugins enabled here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so bizarre. Blueprint. Did you create a blueprint off of here?
I just made it like a regular blueprint and then said actor and added the component to it.
Let me just see if I select my mix manager if that's
There it is.
changes. Yeah, interesting.
Huh. Oh yeah.
Very interesting. So maybe that's I have no idea. Yeah, that's I got nothing. I got nothing.
Well, we'll just roll with it.
Yeah. Charles, try changing the your actor context class to your mix manager class, and then let me see if I can address it now. If it's auto reflected in here, let's see. Test float. No. Are you able to address the value?
Um, no, that's what I'm actually Googling right now. Because I want to be able to update that float value. But I'm wondering if that has to be done inside of like
Well,
a,
yeah.
uh
Interesting. Class my evaluator.
so you got it going there.
Well, hold on a second. This is
Oh, I see.
but can
Your
I
evaluator has it.
hold on, can I the evaluator has a value called test float, but this is not the same as my test float. So I don't think that's the. Let me. Is there a? Hold on a second. Let's see. Let's just start looking and see if there's like a function library we're unaware of. Get property reference. Ooh, well.
Property reference.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Oh, hold on a second. Property. Okay, so here's the components. We have start logic. That's interesting that it falls under logic. Logic. Those are just whether or not it's running. We can send an event. This is really interesting. This might be the thing that we got to do here, actually. We might have to. Let's see what we got here. Can we, let me just promote the variable. Let's see what we get in the structure. The event structure has a tag, a payload, which could be a float input, and an origin. So let me see what float input. Okay, that's just a table. Float. So like a set function. Set float channel. State tree. Ooh. We've got state. Okay. Okay, and what does a property ref looks like? It's a reference to, let's see if we can float. Oh, interesting. But there's no binding. I mean, there's no like name here. Okay, so we got a property ref. I'm not sure if these are the. It feels like there's more for me to explore here. What have you got? How are you doing? Did you figure out a way?
Well, I'm trying with the evaluator.
Okay.
I'm just constructing one on begin play. And then I set it
Uh-huh.
up so the mouse wheel, if I scroll up, I'll increment my float by a small amount. And same with mouse wheel down. I'm not getting mouse wheel events at the moment, so but I did see
Did you
when I
go into
ran
your
my
class? Did you go in your class settings and make sure you were overriding events, or receiving them?
That,
No,
that I'm
sorry,
what?
sorry. The class defaults. So if you go to class defaults and you scroll down, there's an input control, and you have to select auto receive
Ah,
because it's disabled on actors by default. Because they want you.
okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, cool. So I've got my float going up and down, and I'm passing it into I'm just calling the set test float value on the state tree evaluator. And then I'm binding once again to our state
Evaluator.
tree evaluator instead of the parameter.
Yeah.
Um, I think what I've got set up, I turned off tick because I noticed as soon as I started the game, it would print activate, deactivate, activate, and it would just, I can do it again here and demonstrate. Um, Tick. So now you see it quickly does, it switches between activated and deactivated. Um, and so I thought maybe I wanted to only activate if I change the float, right? So
Uh, yeah.
when
Well,
this,
so here's what you can do about. So that's well, the problem with that. What's going on is root is selecting the next down, and it's the wrong value, and you're automatically kicking out of the. In other words, see how root has a down arrow.
yeah,
So in other words, what you need to do is you need to set the entry conditions for the enter conditions for your for your sorry, not for the
oh
root.
yeah, okay, I see,
The
yeah.
entry conditions for the yeah.
Go in here, I'll set a float compare, and then do the same thing. So
Yeah,
if
but
we,
but it's the reverse, right? So the enter conditions for below is that it has to succeed in the value being below the line.
okay, so this one is above, so greater than or equal to 0.5. And then this one, oops, compare that it is less than 0.5. And do I want to check required event to enter?
Yeah, if you want, like that can make if
Probably.
you're going for the event based evaluation, then that can make sure. Yeah, what are your errors here?
Okay, yeah. So it wants something. Oh, that's for like a separate event. I got it. Okay. We'll just turn that off.
Yeah,
And now it wants bindings, of course.
yeah. So that's a good sign that it kicked out because that means that it's actually doing an evaluation.
Okay, so it activated on begin play and then nothing event
Right,
based.
right. Because you're not sending an event. You have to send an event, right?
Okay. Okay. So send an event from the evaluator.
No, no, no. From
No?
from the well, no, I don't think. I don't think so.
Because
Maybe.
we've got tree start and uh state tree event. We could send an event.
Yeah, but you can also send one in your actor.
Okay.
And in this case, you want an event that um, that is called when you change the value, right? That's basically what you're looking for.
Okay. Oops, I should leave that. And so every time I change the value is when I want to check it, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
state tree event
Yeah. What
and
was what was sort of what I was struggling with was like with the event data struct is like some kind of yeah.
yeah, so it wants a tag and a payload. This is probably a struct of some kind. So I'm going to make a struct that just has a float in it. Test float.
Oh, your screen got dark all of a sudden.
Hmm. And
Oh,
let's go
weird. It's like
test
some sort of auto
float.
contrast thing that Zoom is doing.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I added my payload and then let's just add, I've got a test tag here, it looks like. Nice. And an origin. Don't care.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so this is going to send an event and it's got a payload, but I need to probably set this payload somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe instead of caching it, we can do this. And I just need to give it a, oh, what is that? Interesting. Maybe I can just grab the test float. No, I need to give it a struct, right? So let's try make test float. Pass this in as a recombined struct.
Yeah, I think so. Go to the payload types. So sorry,
Oh,
go.
it's an instance struct.
Yeah.
So, what were you saying?
So there's a payload. There are payload types.
Oh, like in here.
Yeah. So
These
I
are structs, though. I just made this one custom.
yeah, but there are float. There's
Oh,
like
just use an existing
let's see
one.
if there's one that already exists that we can use.
Float compare.
Sure. I don't know. I don't
Huh.
know why that's a struct. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, that's an operation in my brain, but okay.
Okay, so
Unless that's the
other
event.
functions.
Uh,
So these are payloads. Here's one just called float,
yeah. Let's see what that. Yeah. Is it just a value?
and
Can
so
we
it's
just?
an instance struct. So we need to make an instance struct like this. And I'm just gonna go ahead and sorry for the mess here, folks. Clean it up a little bit. Okay.
We'll go over this again in mine once we get this. So what you're doing, and then we'll redo it in mine. So we've got like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Value must be a struct. And so my struct, then maybe I can do make float, test float. Maybe I can give it this and then pass in my new test float, which has been set here and here. And I think it's looking promising. Okay, so it's set below and then nothing.
Yeah.
So let's just see what we're doing here.
While you're experimenting, I'm also gonna look and see if there's something I've missed here in terms of.
Okay,
Which I'm gonna.
so I'm not actually hitting that, which is weird. Let me re-instance this thing. Huh.
Going into the quick start guide.
Yeah, you got it.
Well, I'm just it's just that sort of dumb thing. Like we could have just looked at the documentation here that we
Yeah,
have.
I can't even hit my breakpoint here for some reason, which is very weird. Like it's printing the value, which is over here, and yet I'm not hitting a breakpoint. Maybe I don't have it. It's very weird.
Okay, so on the docs, they're using the evaluator, which is kind of what I expected. And let's see. Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Are we
Okay.
close?
Uh let me. So go to your. Sorry, go to your evaluator.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Hold on. And the float variable. Go to the float parameter. And do you see the category?
Yes.
Make it context.
Really?
Yeah. Save that. And then go back to your state tree. Go to your evaluator bindings. And then for the context, for the actor. Hold on a second. Actor context. Sorry, under your evaluator. So not the local variable. Yeah. You want to select
The struct type or
your actor. I think. No, it's Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. I'm sure I'm sort of jumping to points in this. I just want to make sure I didn't. Okay, yeah. So sorry. Select your evaluator. Like yeah, delete the just get rid of that, and then what you want to do is you want to yeah, there you go, and then the sorry, I can't see that. Does that say context? We're correct. Is that saying context?
yeah, this context property automatically connected to one of the context objects or can be overridden with
And
property binding.
what does the wording say, or that?
Invalid type.
Oh yeah, so you
Must
want to.
be object or struct.
Ooh, interesting.
And
Okay.
so maybe that's where we want this to be a float
Yeah,
struct.
yeah. There you go.
So we'll do that. And now it's got a blue warning, which could not connect context property automatically.
Right.
And so I probably need to, it might be complaining over here about my bindings maybe,
Well, yeah. We should
which
try to fix those up anyway, because I'll have to do that anyway. And let me just see.
property must have manual binding. I can promote to parameter.
It's just complaining about the manual binding is about about that. Is that the blue, is it the sorry the blue thingy, the blue triangle?
It says evaluator could not find matching context object for context property test float on global STE test evaluator.
Yeah.
Must have manual binding. Context object. So I think I need a context object somewhere. Under actor, do I need a, does my actor need a variable of that type?
I don't think so.
Okay, we're just gonna get rid of all that.
Oh. I see. Okay, I gotcha. Here's oh no, that's not it. Damn. This is in the actor class. All right. So in your details objects, drag the Okay. Try. Yeah, okay. So in the evaluator, instead of the float, try do an actor class. Yeah, yeah. And then what you'll do is that so set that as context. Is it context? That's going to be our actor. So in other words, let's get a reference to our actor on the so this is the quick start. Is the event
Oh,
tree start. Yeah. So on the event tree start, and then our actor will have the parameter, which makes sense. So we need to pass the actor, the context actor in through the evaluator is what I'm guessing is what we got to do here. Because on the quick start, let me see if you're still on share screen, right? You can see my screen.
I can see your screen. Yeah.
Yeah. So check this out. Here's the quick start guide here, and we have the basically they're they're creating like a spline actor. That's the thing they want to have
Okay.
information about. And then they make an evaluator, and then the evaluator on tree start calls they get the actor of class, and then they basically pass that in, casted to, in this case they're casting to this BP spline actor, and then that is the oh sorry, the actor is their evaluator object. Hold on a second, origin. But this is sorry, this is the actor is the spline actor. Sorry, no, that's what I got. The spline actor.
They're just getting the closest spline actor to whatever the context actor is, probably
Okay,
the player or something.
this is their task. Okay. And then the spline actor is cached. Then they get the get spline is the evaluator, and then they have a binding with the spline with the context of the actor and the spline actor out.
Okay, so maybe I would want to get my float from my mix manager.
Yeah, let's try that.
And do I need to instantiate a test evaluator from the actor, or is that just handled through state tree?
I think that hold on a second. Let me see. Let me sort of look at this through. Is this the task? That's the thing. I think the evaluator is instantiated by the state tree.
Okay, so I don't need that probably.
This is my inference from what I'm seeing here is that the get the like there is a effectively the evaluator selection is let's see. So if I just click the drop down and select the evaluator. And then we have an actor context, which is then bound to this the our actor type it
Oh,
basically.
okay. Interesting. And so maybe I just would bind to the mix manager if I
Yeah,
make
see if that.
this a context, make it public, and then I can bind this maybe.
So the actor is gonna be your actor context. That's the like the the class that's the top there. You say your remember you put the actor as the context class at the top.
Yeah.
Uh, Sorry, at the top of your state tree, the context actor class is defaults at actor.
Uh-huh.
So the actor class is the context
Okay.
class. So in other words, the evaluator needs to have. Hold on, where's my evaluator? Pull this guy in. The evaluator needs to have a parameter, a variable that is of that class.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I think so.
Yeah, and then it needs to be placed in the category context, which is a little bit of magic that is frustrating. And then we'll call let's call it my context actor. So I mean maybe the name means something, which could be really troubling.
Yeah.
But let's see if we can go back. We'll go my evaluator. Yeah, here we go. Look at this. It's already selected my context actor. Look at that.
I don't think you're the one sharing screen right at the
No, no,
moment.
I'm not. I'm showing you.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so then what we need to do is we need to have in the evaluator, we need to so on our so our maybe I should just take over here. Let me
Yeah, yeah. I
because
think you
I feel like I'm starting to get it. And so let's just well that's the half and half. Okay,
and I
so
think this is where I'm gonna hop off.
oh yeah,
But
that's right. You got to jump out.
yeah, this was
Yeah,
fun, and I
7:30.
look forward to continuing on. Um,
Yeah, yeah. All right, cool. Well, hey, thanks for joining for the time. I always appreciate it.
yeah, it was
And
fun.
good luck
We'll do some
tomorrow
homework before
morning.
next week. So
Yeah, yeah.
thank you.
I'm gonna just keep going and uh for a little while and
Sounds good.
yeah.
See you, everyone.
See you, Eric. Thanks. Okay. Well, I don't need to share the screen with myself. There we go. Well, that's yep. Okay. All right. So I'll try to be vocal about what I'm doing, and then we'll get back on track here. A second. Let's just rearrange the windows. All right. Okay. So I think I'm starting to understand this. So we need to go. Let's just get all actors of class. We're gonna go my mix manager. There's only gonna be one in our in fact I could probably just sort of cheat here and sort of get a ref, and then I just make sure it's actually is this something I can break to no, okay, just do an is valid check. Okay, and then we will cast it to my mix manager. We'll cache that parameter here. And then we should be able to think actor edit current node. No, Okay, let me try Let me just try re-adding this and just see if that. No. Actor. Oh, you know what? I didn't make it. There we go. This I think was what I was missing. Is public parameter. Okay, and then yeah, here we are. As my mix manager. Um, I think. Hold on, let's clean some of this up here. Let's go. Let's move that. So I'm just going to come back through this here. We've got a lot. There's a lot here. I just want to sort of clean this up a little bit because there's. Okay, and then this context as actor, finding actor. Oh. Okay. Yeah, so here we have to have the category be output. There we go. There's a lot of magic going on here. There we are. Okay. Yeah, so now we need to rebind our test parameters. Mix manager, right? And I had to let's just we'll put the property here. So we'll call it my control float. So it's got a new name that's here. Make that public just in case. Okay, so then my oops. Okay. Oh, here we go. This one. Here we go. My control float. There we are. And then on the other one. So I'm going to my evaluator as my mix manager, my control float. Now we're green. Super duper. And then all we need to do here is what we can do. Well, here's what we'll do: is well, I guess we'll do we'll do what Eric started up, which was a an input binding. So the sort of quick and dirty. It's good for testing. And what we'll do is we'll have a when I hit number 1. Oops, keyboard 1. And then keyboard 2. And then we'll just do something very simple here. We'll we'll just set the float value there like that. And then the other thing that I had Eric do was so what we can do is on the root right now, the root is automatically transitioning down, but we can add our own transitions at the root level. So we could basically interrupt this automatic behavior. So similarly, we could say, okay, on tick, we could transition to above. Based on the condition that a float, and then we grab our control float. Above, we're greater than or equal to 0.5, and just make sure it's saved. And then we'll just add another condition, which is on tick go to below, and then the conditions for that are going to be a float comparison that is less than 0.5, and the float we want to evaluate is, my control float. Boop, like that. Okay, so in other words, now the root, hopefully the root should follow this transitional logic and should not default to a specific one. So that could be, hopefully this is an alternative to creating entry conditions. But entry conditions are also useful, so. But I'm going to see if I can get away with just staying on tick. And then let's go to our level. We'll drop, where's my mix manager? I'll just drop it in the level. And I'll just play. we're spamming. Okay. Okay. So I think that has to do with the task update. So in other words, task is actually evaluating on this. So let's do I guess we'll switch to event. Required event. Required event. We'll just do this test state tree test tag as the tag. I don't think we actually need a payload. I don't think there's anything there for us. I think we could kind of ignore that. That's what my feeling is. Event, send state tree event, and then we'll just use the same tag. Which is just state tree tag with no payload. We don't care. We'll just see if that works. Cool. Let's try it out. Okay, activating mix B. That's a good sign. Activating activating mix B, deactivating mix B. Okay. Activating mix A, deactivating mix B. Activating mix B, deactivating mix A. There we go. We got it. Cool. I can go back and forth. What's interesting is that it's I wonder, let's see, if there was a float compare. That's really interesting. Float input. Is there a... No. Ooh, I wonder what this does. Let's just see what happens. Nothing? Nothing? So, does that... Let's see if I float compare. Oh, float change. Sorry, change. Yeah, let's see what this does. Does it do anything? No. All right. Well. All right. Well, let me where am I? Yeah, let's get rid of this payload. We don't care about that. Oh, sorry. Back here. Go to. We're gonna go none. I don't think we need to mess with it. It's just an event. But I do want to check. So this was on tick. It was on tick, and that was fine. I mean, event base is better because it's kind of the way you want to go eventually, is just event based. I like that there's a tag system. Transition. Yeah, on event. Okay, let's just see if this... Yeah, so what I think one of the things that would be good is to figure out how to ensure that the transition only occurs, or the evaluation only is like somehow make it so that that we are only checking if the value has changed. I mean, that could be something that I just put in my mix logic here. Like, for example, you know, I could be like, there's my control float, but I could be like, you know, we could do something like previous control value, maybe I guess we could do it something like this. Right. Actually, this, we don't want to do this. We want to do this only if this says this. And the idea here is that maybe we could do like a check, you know, just a simple one that's just like, oh, I guess I don't need to do that actually. Let's just, because we're just setting the parameter value, but we could do something like this, where we just go, hey, let's get rid of this. My control float, get, and then we could go and then we could just do it like this. 25. I mean, this is not great. I don't like this that much. It's a little bit, but but it will prevent it from, at least for now, it will prevent it from calling the function again. Oh, hold on a second. That's broken. What did I do wrong here? What did I break here? One. Oh, sorry. This is, I need to reverse these. In other words, only activate if they've changed meaningfully. That's kind of what I'm going for here. So we don't set it to 0 unless it's above 0.5, and we don't set it to 1 unless it's below 0.5. Which I think there's probably a better way to do that, but yeah, now when I spam an event, it doesn't spam the mixes. And then I think we could do one quick test. Very like test tone, test type. We do like my test audio. And let's open up mix A. Oops, oh, okay, yep. And then we'll open up mix B. And for mix A, we want to use our control bus. And mix B, we want to also use our control bus. What we'll do is we'll set values. So in other words, let's say for this is mix A. Let's say mix A is negative 60 dB, and we'll say this is unity gain, and we'll have a nice 1 second activation and deactivation attack and release value. And then what we'll do is in our test audio, we'll have our sine tone. We'll just have a little sine tone generator. We'll go with like a, something like this. Just a nice little pleasant thing. And then we'll get our control bus. Sorry. Bus reader. Not, what is it? Modulator. Get modulator value. And then our CB. And then what we'll do is we will use this as a multiplier. We'll just multiply. So this way we have a clear audible result. And so if I drop this in the level, sorry, also I should have done this. We're going to get rid of this on one-shot interface because we want it to persist. And then when we play, and then we should be able to, yep, and then I hit it again, and then we can bring it back, and I hit the other. So now we're actually swapping between mix states, but what's important is that we're swapping between mix states with our state tree. And so I think I think I can. Can I see if there's is there like a, I was hoping maybe we'd see like a nice little debug value, but maybe not. We'll have to explore debugging as well, because I think that there's a way to see what state tree is like in order to, like, I think there's a way to select an active state tree and then watch the state changes and stuff like that. So yeah, that can all wait until later. Let's see. Did I miss anything important in the chat? Oops, some people came back. Uh, yeah, yeah, Damien. We all float down here. That's for damn sure. Charles, yeah, are you back on track? For those who were following along, are you back in? So here's one of the things while folks are responding, and I guess I'll leave this stuff up here. But I think one of the things that I think is okay. Well, then I think we're kind of here at the end, and for tonight at least. So I think one of the things that's really useful for technical designers of any discipline is to become acquainted with the tools and systems that are part of the like larger engine feature set, right? So in other words, like what we did today was technically it was AI, right? It was like, I mean, dumb AI or whatever you want to call it, the old school AI. But this is valuable to audio to have a generic state manager and to be able to utilize it for systems design, right? And the nice thing about State Tree, as an example, because there's other stuff, there's obviously a whole bunch of stuff in Unreal. The nice thing about State Tree is it actually has, in terms of the visualization of the state management, it's not too bad. Obviously, there's some, UX fiddling that we've had tonight. Some of it was just us barging into State Tree without reading any documentation. but yeah, so that's I think there is a lot of value, and when you think about something like state management, like something that I was thinking about recently was something where was like a nice breathing system, right? Where you have, because in a breathing system, you want to like have gameplay parameter data that is driving things like maybe like your player characters stamina over time, or some exertion metric, right? And then you want to be able to have like breathe, like there are rules about breathing, right? Like that, like if you've like you oftentimes intake a breath before an exertion, that kind of stuff, right? And so I think you could build logic for something like a breathing system around, and just have this like nice tool, little component that's attached to your pawn or player or whatever that manages this, and then gets interrupted by things like vox and barks and dialogue lines and things like that, and maybe could even help make the dialogue transitions more natural with like in breath intakes and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of opportunity when you're talking about more complex state management in terms of interesting systems design. And so it's helpful to learn non-audio tools, and it's something that I try to encourage a lot of folks just in general, if they're interested in game audio, is just kind of be like, think of themselves as more as game developers. And I think that's a really useful frame of mind when going in, because then everything is at your finger. Like every tool is yours to use and just to figure out how to use it. And I think that's much more interesting than trying to rely solely on, the like handful of tools that have sound or audio or music attached to their names. So yeah, I hope this was interesting. Maybe we'll continue this exploration with State Tree next week. So yeah, thanks for joining, everyone. And we'll see you next time. Bye.